everybody, this is Christopher Brower here with Daily Motor, and boy do we have a good one today. This is a car truck that I've been looking forward to driving for quite a while. This is the 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz, what Hyundai calls their first sports adventure vehicle, not to be confused with sports activity vehicle like our friends over at BMW. But man, does this thing have a unique look. When I heard this was coming out, I was like, oh, it's just going to be a Hyundai Tucson with a bed, but it's actually quite a bit more than that. This thing's pretty unique, and I think that they've absolutely nailed it with the styling. It's nice to have something different in today's market, but also practical. So, let's get the truck stuff out of the way right away. Start by opening this tailgate, which opens nice and smoothly there. So, payload in the back, 1,600 pounds. But this thing does beat out the Ford Maverick by 1,000 pounds for its max towing capacity at 5,000 pounds and about 100 pounds in the bed segment. It also has this trick tonneau cover here that can be a little bit irritating at times. It rolls itself in, and you've got this little strap here to pull it shut. Let's see if it'll actually open for me today. You see, sometimes it can be irritating. It does lock, which locks you out completely. And then you're supposed to just push this up and it opens. But this one, for some reason, I think because it's cold out, it's very unhappy. There we go. Okay. We also have these little compartments here. That one's just a storage compartment. But on the other side, we have a little outlet to plug things into, as you can see right there. Multiple different tie-down locations. We've got lights back here, and this one has a spray-in bed liner. But even cooler, this reminded me of the Honda Ridgeline. I have a little compartment back here to keep extra things. So even more storage back here, you know, besides just the bed of the pickup truck. Oh yes, but then this thing, being very irritating yesterday. Okay. Right, now that we've shut that, we can pull this back. Ugh. I'm really giving this the benefit of the doubt and just blaming it on the fact that it's 19 degrees out today and everything's very frozen and damp, and which means it's icy and whatnot, and that's why it's hard to operate. Super light tailgate though. Santa Cruz embossed into the tailgate there, or molded in, as I should say. I think that looks really nice. You even got little steps here in the bumper if you want to hop on up there and load some stuff into your truck bed. These are interesting. I don't know exactly what the purpose of those are, but they've got a little baby Santa Cruz molded into them. One of the stranger design elements on the truck. All right, let's go ahead and hop into the back seat. Take a look back here. Okay. Ooh. So under first impressions, it's a little tight back here. I've also got this side folded up so you can see that it has that feature as well. We've got our toolkit, our jack, everything, and then my jacket. Throw that on the floor. And we'll go around to the other side and we'll put this down in just a second. But just from a sitting back here perspective, my knees are pressed into this hard plastic seat back on the driver's seat. So definitely not as much room back here as we have in the Maverick, which is surprising to me. I thought that this would have a little bit more of a spacious cabin, and it certainly does in the front, but as far as the back seat goes, it's really for children. I don't know that you could really carry comfortably full-size adults back here. I am 5'11". The driver's seat's adjusted for me, so if you had a 5'6" driver and a 5'6" passenger, maybe that would work out a little bit better. But in the Maverick, I had probably 3-4 inches more legroom back here. I do like the cup holder design though. We have those in the door here. Other than that, pretty simple. Oh, and folding back window. Check that out. If you want some fresh air for your dog that you have riding back here or something, got a little window to open. All right, let's go around to the other side and I'll show you how the seats work. This side does fold up as well, so you can have the whole back seat folded up if you so desire. Little strap right here, and it folds right down. Same for pulling it up. and it's so light, you can just use the little strap here each time. Overall quality of the seats, they're pretty nice as well. Little seat back pockets and 2 USB ports back here too. All right, let's go ahead and move up to the front of this thing. So being that this is the limited trim, it is the top of the line Santa Cruz. So we have this nice leather wrapped steering wheel. We have these nice perforated leather seats with some nice detailing here right below the headrest. We've got a fully digital cluster up here, which being a Hyundai changes when you put it into sport mode for some spicy carbon fiber cluster gauges. We also have a nice infotainment screen here with wired Apple CarPlay, but if you just go back to the Hyundai system, that seems to work pretty well too. One tap here takes you back to CarPlay. All right, I want to address the elephant in the room here and just put it out there and address the fact that this Santa Cruz does not have a volume knob, which is a sad moment, and as a journalist, I have to point that out. But the saving grace for this car is that they've also included a little switch here on the steering wheel that allows you to control your volume. Now, the biggest problem with a Volkswagen is you don't have a volume knob or a physical switch on the steering wheel, and at least they've given us a second option to control it that isn't some stupid haptic touch thing that's equally as frustrating to operate as little tap buttons down here. So we'll give them a half pass on that. A nice layout down here for our heated and cooled seats as well as our heated steering wheel. No, you cannot heat and cool at the same time. We've got an all-wheel drive lock, auto hold, hill descent, as well as a button to cycle through our cameras. See all of the different cameras here. Pretty cool. That one's nice for if you're backing the truck up to something. Where'd it go? That one right there. Also, if you're hitching up and trailer, but I assume that was assumed by what I already said. Okay, anyways, back home here, back to Apple CarPlay. Overall, I like the feel of this interior. Everything's laid out quite nice, except for the lack of a volume knob, but we'll gloss over that for the rest of the review. You won't have to hear me complain about that anymore. I like the design of the dashboard, how it flows into the door panels. I think the materials in here are pretty nice. I honestly don't really have any other complaints as far as the interior goes in this thing. All right, and with all of that out of the way, why don't we take this Santa Cruz out for a drive on the daily motor test route and see what it's like. Pretty manly shifter there. Not the dial shifter like you get in the Ford Maverick. I like the feel of this. I like the design of it. I think it's proper for a truck, and it fits the overall vibe really nicely in here. Ooh, we've got a little bit of blinding sun. Hilarious that it's becoming golden hour already, and it's not even 4 p.m. Michigan is such a special place to live. So under the hood of this Hyundai Santa Cruz, we have a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with 281 horsepower and 311 foot-pounds of torque. And that is sent to all 4 wheels via an 8-speed dual-clutch automated manual transmission. In other words, a DCT. So being that this is the top trim, the limited, we have the best engine. The base Santa Cruz gets front-wheel drive with a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that makes only about 180 horsepower. But that's about on par with the base model Maverick. I keep referencing the Maverick here because that is pretty much this car's main competition. You could argue the Honda Ridgeline, but it's quite a bit larger and quite a bit more expensive when you go through the trims. Something kind of interesting that I want to talk about with the Santa Cruz is the fact that it has a DCT. And Hyundai is going this way with quite a few of their cars at this point. We drove the Sonata N line last year, that had a DCT. Of course, the Veloster N, the Elantra N, the Kona N, all of those cars come optional with a DCT. So it's cool to see it in this Santa Cruz. So how does it actually drive? Well, in just a normal setting here, it's actually very smooth. You can feel it thinking when you're in traffic or you're taking off slowly from a stop. You can feel that clutch letting itself out, essentially. It's almost weird. It feels like you're actually in a manual transmission car, but nothing jerky. I haven't had any rough shifts or anything like a 2013 Focus or anything like that. this thing feels like it actually knows what it's doing, and it's tuned pretty well. Especially when you put it into sport mode. You have access to these paddle shifters on the steering wheel here. Now we don't have lightning fast gear changes here, but they're pretty quick for what they are. You can also change gear down here with your shifter, but unfortunately it goes the wrong way. Up is up, down is down. If you know, you know, that is not correct. It's cool though how it rev matches. A lot of times cars that aren't super sporty don't rev match, but I suppose the Santa Cruz is kind of sporty, isn't it? Let's do a little bit of a 0 to 60 here. And there's 60. Not too bad, a little bit of rough shifts there, but we are in sport mode, so it's shifting as aggressively as possible. I drive here in smart mode. Smart mode's pretty clever in the way that it's essentially eco mode, but if you have some sort of an emergency where you really need to get going, it'll switch you over to a sportier setting to where you're not stuck in super loose, limp eco mode. Steering feel is nice. It really is just a pleasure driving this car. The ride as well. This car's damped to be super soft, but you don't have a lot of body roll around corners. The ride is really, really nice. Again, guys, I'm really struggling to come up with anything I don't like about this car. All right, let's go back into sport mode here for our entrance ramp. Try out our paddle shifters one more time. So we are on some Michelin Primacy all-season tires. Not going to be the grippiest thing. Pushing a little bit there with some understeer. And it won't quite let you hit rev limiter, which is a little disappointing, but that's not the purpose of this car. So anyways, back into normal mode here because I want to show you one of the most important things about Hyundai and Kia and Genesis. It's this absolutely S tier, fantastic lane keep system, which you can use when you aren't using cruise control. That's what I love about this little truck, is the fact that it's still a Hyundai. You still get all of the good Hyundai, Kia driver aids and just nice things in here, but you also have a truck bed. So I really like this little thing. I mean, look at this. It's not even yelling at me to steer. And if you do want cruise control, of course you have it. This has adaptive cruise as well, which you can set with this little thing here. I mean, it's just effortless. You don't even have to, go through a bunch of menus, or it's not hard to figure out how to use this thing, is I guess what I should say here. Hyundais and Kias and Genesis, they're so easy to figure out. The interiors are laid out so nicely. And the fact that this is, just the same, it's no exception, is really nice. So let's talk about the Ford Maverick, this truck's main competitor. Well, as far as pricing goes, this is quite a bit more expensive in every way. The base model Maverick with the front-wheel drive hybrid powertrain starts at $19,995. The base Santa Cruz, which is also front-wheel drive, but it's not a hybrid, just a naturally aspirated four-cylinder, starts at about $26,000. So you're quite a bit more, about $6,000 more for a base Santa Cruz. If you go all the way up to the top trim, this one is a limited, so, all-wheel drive, four-cylinder turbo, 281 horsepower, 5,000 pounds of towing. I mean, this one as spec'd is $39,000, but the limited, the top trim starts at $36,000. But if you're comparing a similar Maverick, a Lariat 2-liter turbo all-wheel drive, I mean, you're going to come in right around $32,000. So the Santa Cruz, no matter what trim you select, is still about $5,000 more in every configuration. Is it worth it? I don't know. The trucks, though they are very similar, they're also very different. I mean, the interior is just nothing alike as far as the Maverick goes. The Maverick is very, very unique, as in there's no other car on the market that has interior quite like the Maverick, and I kind of like that about that truck, to where it's just very, it's very comfortable being itself. And I think this Hyundai, while it is still a Hyundai, and that's what I love most about it, there's nothing super unique in this interior that would tell you that it's a Santa Cruz, but that's okay. I'm not complaining about that. It's just, I'm just telling you that it's quite a bit different than the Maverick in that respect. And to be honest with you, I would probably have the Maverick. I would save a little bit of money. I'd give up the 1,000 pounds of towing. And, you know, this is a great little truck, but if I had to choose between this and a Maverick, I'd probably have the Maverick. With that being said, though, good luck trying to purchase a Maverick because they're almost impossible to get. So if you want to actually buy something that you can buy, then get the Santa Cruz because you can actually have one. What this does a lot better than the Maverick is it just feels more premium. The interior, the way it drives, everything all together, it feels more expensive, but it is more expensive. So as it should feel more expensive. It's a little bit of a step up, but I think if you're just going to go for, you know, something cheap, budget-wise, I would have the Maverick. If you want to buy something that you're going to be really comfortable in, if you want to go on long trips, long adventures, you got to go Santa Cruz. All right, everyone, and that's going to wrap up our drive today of this 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz Limited. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I really do like this truck, and I think that it would suit so many people's lifestyles. And it's just nice to have something that's a little bit more unique than just a crossover. It gives us more flavor in the current market, and for that, Hyundai, thank you for this fun little piece of machinery that you've made. You gonna tell me to check the back seat? Yes, you are. Haha. Oh, also, if you're curious about the Bose sound system or the fuel economy, the highway fuel economy on the Santa Cruz, make sure to check out those videos. We have those right here on Daily Motor as well. All right, everyone. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Comment down below what you think about this little truck. Would you have this or would you have a Maverick? Let me know. All right, everyone. Well, again, thank you so much for watching. This has been Christopher Brower with Daily Motor. And as always, drive on.